Hello, and welcome to my presentation to let you know why technology wins. Okay, first off, we're gonna start by talking about what are the technological challenges that I've seen at my institution. First of all, I've seen resistance, just basically being stuck and content with the way things were done in the past. And the second thing is fear of being incompetent, basically, an inability to keep up with the rapid change and growth in the technology is the fear that a lot of people have. So, why are we facing these challenges? The generational gap between the baby boomers and the millennials is one of the big problems, or one of the big reasons why we're having the problems that we're having. The thinking is just completely different from that generation, which is the baby boomers, to the millennial generation. The cultural differences growing up with technology just makes it a completely different world. Not even things such as Instagram and Snapchat, but even something as basic as the internet. They didn't grow up with that, and so they're not quite as familiar with using it. Which brings us to resources. So the resources that they have to learn about the technology are readily available to them, but most of it is available online on the internet. And some of them have trouble accessing the internet in general just due to not doing it frequently. Practice makes perfect. Another one of the challenges is companies are not marketing it for the older generations, for the baby boomers. They are marketing towards the millennials. So they're not trying to make it necessarily user friendly or advertised towards the baby boomer generation. And again, people are just content with the way things were done. Everything is fine the way it is, or the way it was done in the past. So, what is happening because of these challenges? We see people beginning to feel incompetent, and that is never a good way to feel when you're in your workplace. You want to feel very confident and like you know what you're doing all the time. It can also cause discord among workers if one person is very strong with the technology and they might end up demeaning the others that are not so good unintentionally, but still making them feel incompetent. And another thing is this can lead to missed opportunities. There are so many wonderful ways we can take advantage of technology in the workplace, and if we're not using it to its full potential, then we're missing out on opportunities to better ourselves and to better our institutions. Okay, so here's the reason why we're having these problems. Lack of funding for different and new technology. And this also includes resources that we're not having available to us, possibly because of lack of funding or due to the misuse or no use of the resources that are already made available to us. Another is being narrow-minded or having tunnel vision. Again, that same thinking that everything is fine the way we used to do it. I like things the way it was done. But we have to change that. We have to change that thinking to be able to move forward. Another problem that we have is focusing on getting out, or basically the older generation focusing on retiring instead of focusing on getting better and constantly improving and constantly trying to grow and becoming more knowledgeable. So instead of trying to learn while they can and learn while they're still in that environment, people are thinking, I just have a few more years to retirement. I don't need to learn anything new. I don't need to get any better at it. And that is the wrong mindset to have. Okay, now let's fix this problem. First thing that we have to do is send a unified message across the board. We have to get everybody on the same page, and we have to get everybody to buy in to what we're doing. We also need to continue focusing on digitizing the university, if you will. We want to focus on taking advantage of all of the resources that technology is offering us. And lastly, the most important one, I think, is changing that initial mindset that we have. We have to, not just the millennials, but the baby boomers and Generation X, we have to start thinking outside the box of the way we were brought up thinking. It's not just the people in the older generation, but the ones in the technological generation need to start challenging themselves as well and pushing the limits and trying to continue to grow and grow and grow. We need to start thinking about how useful and beneficial it will be to the program and to the organization as a whole. Okay, so who is going to make this happen? Everyone is. Everyone in the department, in our case, in the athletics department. And not only in our department, but definitely in IT as well. Remember that buying in and making sure that everyone is buying in is the key. This is a unified project and everyone must work together on this. Another group of people that we need to take advantage of are the marketing and the business departments. A lot of resources, they have a lot of resources and programs and digital equipment as well. Another group of people that we need to make sure that we're taking advantage of are the SIDs, the sports information directors, because they have a lot of background working with technology as well. And lastly, I think it will be helpful for the millennials or for that younger generation to partner up with an older member of staff, kind of like the big brother, big sister system, to help them navigate through the changes in the technological world. But the key is to not do it for them. Because if we're continually doing this for them, then they're not growing and they're not learning and they're not going to be able to use the technology on their own. Okay, so as I've said before, communication is key. It is the most important part. We've got to be able to communicate across the boards without having any holdbacks. So the first thing that we have to do with this communication is to create a strategic plan. And then after we create that strategic plan, we have to make sure that we're implementing it and that we execute it very, very well. Another way that we're going to use this communication is through workshops, whether that's in campus or we have to outsource to somewhere else and learn more from other people that know how to do things better than we do. The reverse mentoring that I mentioned before. And we need to have open and transparent communication about what is not understood within the branch of technology that we're trying to learn about at that specific time. If we're not being open about the things that we do not understand, then we're not going to be able to grow and we're not going to be able to take advantage of technology to its full extent. Okay, so to have success, we have to address the misconceptions. The first one is the misconception that technology is a privilege. It's not really a privilege anymore. Back maybe 5, 10, 15 years ago, probably, it was a privilege and you had to be wealthy to have that. Instead, now we need to view it as a necessity for being successful. We have to begin to use technology to its full extent so that we can reach our full potential as a institution or as the athletics department. So the Other misconception is that social media outlets are toys and are just a waste of time. But they are really useful tools that we need to start taking advantage of and we need to learn how to use properly. And lastly, the thing that think we keep seeing reoccur and come back up again and again is that we have to address this mindset. We have to change our mindset. Changing the mindset and proving how useful and beneficial it will be to the program or organization is key. And one of the reasons why we have to address this and we have to show, especially that baby boomer generation, facts of here's what using this technology will help you do, and here's the facts behind it, because they're a very factual generation, and we're going to have to prove to them that we're not just talking out the side of our mouth, that we're serious about this, and here's the studies that prove that this helps you to be successful. So how can we solve this? Again, by communicating. Communication is key. It's such a cliche, but I feel like cliche should lose the title of cliche if it's true, because when we communicate, that's going to help resolve a lot of our problems. If we just simply voice the fact we don't understand how to do something, then we're going to end up getting help. And with that being said, when we communicate that, we're starting to finally take advantage of our in-house resources that we have, like the millennials, like the people that majored in IT, like our SIDs, like our information technology employees in general. So it starts with the communication, and then we need to start using those resources that we already have available to us. Okay, so what are we going to need? We're going to need people, anyone with an IT degree, millennial generation to help begin to work on that, fostering that relationship and that partnership between them and the baby boomers, helping them learn what they need to learn. And again, the SIDs are something that we need to try and take advantage of. I know they have very busy schedules, but we're going to start using them and using their knowledge to their full extent. So initially, the setup of this could take some time, finding the right people and getting everything organized and finding places for us to do these in-house workshops. But once we get rolling, depending on people's schedules, we're either going to use an hour every 2 weeks or half an hour once every week. And that's really not a lot of your time that you have to chisel out of your schedule. Money, the funding, we really shouldn't need a lot of funding for this, except if new programs are needed and if the university wants to bring in new systems such as ARMS, or we use Canvas, and there's loads of other technology that we could end up having to pay for. But as of right now, the learning of the technology is not going to cost us any money. Professional learning. Well, with that being said, we might need professional learning for those specific systems such as ARMS. Sometimes a professional needs to be brought in if it's very specific. We need to bring someone in that's specialized in that specific program so we can learn instead of trying to blindly figure it out on our own. And that could cost a little bit of money, and we might have to find funding for that, but it's worth it in the long run for sure. Okay, so again, like I said, this is gonna be once every 2 weeks for an hour, or half an hour once every week. And we're gonna do this for anywhere from 1 to 2 months, depending on the level that we're starting at and how much growing we need to do and how much learning we need to do as a department. Okay, so what is going to be the result of all of this not so hard work, but just this learning and working and trying to get better and asking questions? We're going to have a more savvy technological department. So our tech savvy is just going to go through the roof by the time we're done with this program. We're going to be able to take advantage of paperless systems, so we're helping the environment, and we're going to take take better advantage of our social media outlets. And that's just going to be very beneficial because that's the way that a lot of young people are getting all of their information, all of their news. That's the first thing they see when they wake up in the morning and the last thing they see at night when they go to bed. So it's going to be very instantaneous results for us. So we're going to take advantage of that also. And everyone, not just the assistants, will now feel comfortable using all the technology. So Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, but not only that, they're going to feel comfortable using ARMS, using their cell phone for recruiting, feel comfortable emailing from their phone. And not even that, they're going to feel comfortable using the internet as well. And that's something that we really need to make sure that we're pushing, that everybody feels comfortable using everything, not just the millennial generation, but that everyone feels comfortable using all the technology that we have available to us. Okay, so how can we actually tell if this is working? The progression should be seeable and it should also be noticeable. We should be able to say, oh, hey, wow, Coach so-and-so has never had a Twitter page before, and they've made a Twitter page and they're tweeting and doing this and doing that. Or, hey, they never used ARMS before, and now we're getting notifications from them that they're using their ARMS login. But one of the major things that we're going to do is this is going to be challenging to monitor if this is not done. So the way that I plan to measure this would be by first creating a survey with questions such as, on a scale of 1 to 10, 5 being professional level and 1 being not able to function, how comfortable do you feel using Instagram, for example? Or on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being professional level, 1 not being able to function, how comfortable do you feel using ARMS, etc., etc. So the survey will be given 3 times. It will be given once before any of the workshops or the camp has taken place, and again midway through, depending on how long the 1 to 2 months training camp, and then again at the end of the training camp. And we should be able to see a very large margin of improvement with the technological IQ that we have within our department as a whole. So as you can see throughout this presentation, it is very important for us to use technology. And hopefully now you understand why technology wins.